Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen.
And I'm John Johnson.
And you're listening to Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, comics we want to read, and everything in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week. Back at it again.
Yeah, hey everybody. How's it going?
Good.
This is Matt Hansen, John Johnson, as always. And you're listening to the next episode of
Planes, Trains, and Comic Books.
Yep. And this week we did Superman Red Sun.
Yeah.
Which was a nice little, 3-issue Elseworld series. So, I don't know if you guys know what that is, but Elseworlds is like what if, this happened. And this is like a what if Superman landed 30 minutes late, which would have been in the Soviet Union in I guess it was like in the 40s, right?
In the 40s, yeah.
So instead of landing in America in the 40s, he lands in Russia, or the Soviet Russia. And so then he's got to, grow up on a work plantation, commune, whatever the fuck they call them. And and now he's fighting for Mother Russia and the proletariat. So, what do you think of that one, John?
It was cool. I liked it. Was it Mark Millar, right?
Yeah, this one's written by Mark Millar, and I don't remember who did the artwork.
Dave Johnson.
Yeah. I thought the art was really cool, actually.
It was. It looked like an old 50s comic.
Yeah, well, and the covers were, I don't know if he did the covers too, but the first cover was like an old Max Fleischer cartoon, like the ones from the 40s,
yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's so cool, because he's got the hammer and sickle instead of the S on his chest.
Yeah.
It was super cool.
Yeah, I shouldn't like his suit as much as I did, but it was cool to have the little
what kind of American are you, John?
I like the deeper reds in it. It was nice.
Yeah, yeah, it was cool. I liked, and it was he had some grays, because it was supposed to be like kind of, we all have the same shitty uniform here, gray and bland. We're all brothers, brothers and sisters. So
my fellow comrades.
Yeah. So we'll do the breakdown. Like we said, the idea is Superman gets here 30 minutes late or early. I can't remember which one it is. Late, and by that, the Earth's rotation means that he's going to land in the middle of Ukraine, I guess. And so he lands on a farm over there in a collective, and grows up, and I guess he hides his stuff until he's 21 or something like that.
Right around that time.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden in America, it's newspapers reading, the Russians have a new super weapon. It's a person, but it's like a superhuman. It's an alien. And basically, Superman walks to Stalin and is just like, hey, I'm here now and I'm going to fight for you. And then wackiness ensues. It's kind of like what would happen if that happened. So, of course, Superman being all powerful, he's trying to help people, but then at the same time, he's also
I grew up with these communist values. And
yeah,
we will have this perfect society. And
yeah,
I love the line was fights for Stalin socialism and the international expansion of the Warsaw Pact.
Yes. So, John, you actually looked up. They mentioned the Warsaw Pact a bunch of times in this. What is the Warsaw Pact?
I had to go back and look it up. It was just it was an agreement to of that USSR started Soviet
right, all the states after World War II. So after World War II, the Warsaw Pact was, okay, we're gonna divide Germany in half, and all these other states on this side, like Czechoslovakia, Lithuania, all those states, Estonia, Ukraine, all those.
We're all together now.
Yeah, they're all part of Russia now. So Poland.
And we all agree to this, and obviously there's nothing wrong here.
Yeah, nothing wrong. And Germany had East Germany and West Germany. So that just started a whole can of worms there with the Cold War immediately after World War II. But yeah, so this kind of what were you gonna say?
No, I was just saying I love how scared through America they're like, holy crap, what are we gonna do?
Yeah, we literally can't.
We're not anything. A superpower anymore.
And I love Lex Luthor's in this, but he's actually a good guy in this. At least at first, it was weird. The first comic, actually, the first issue of the 3, it made me see I was I didn't think I was gonna like it, because I'd read this before. I read this, multiple times before, but like it's been 10 years since I read it. So, and you hadn't read it, right?
Nope.
Okay. So when I was reading the first issue, I was like, what? Like, I feel like I thought this would be more revolutionary or more interesting just as an idea, because they made it seem like everybody's going to be the same as they are in the normal universe. It's just Superman's in Russia. Like, he's still good. He's still fighting for justice, but it's instead of the American way, it's the, communist way or whatever. And same with, Lois Lane is still a reporter. Lex Luthor's still just a smart guy who has evil inclinations, when he's like trying to fight Superman. And so I thought it was kind of like lame at first. Like, I thought it was going to be that the whole book, but I was very happy when I read the second issue. It didn't do that. Like, it felt very deterministic. Like, it doesn't matter like who raises you, you're still going to be whoever you are naturally. So so it's like nature versus nurture. There's no nurture in the first issue. It was like, you're just going to be Superman and you're great. You're a good guy. But then as the comic goes on, you see like a more sinister, there's like an evil underlying, because he is like an authoritarian, because he has to be. Because if you're going to, control a society from top to bottom and make sure everybody's got everything they need at all times, you're going to have to be in their business all the time. So, and even this, they had crazy weird stuff like apparently Superman's okay lobotomizing people.
Yep.
Turning them into robots that can like,
I think we can reintroduce them to society now. They're understanding and of their jobs now. And
now he's a janitor. Now, you know what? I feel that's a mean thing to say about janitors, that you could have a lobotomy and still be a janitor. That's what I think about this book. But no, I'm just kidding. But
no, it's just the role he was assigned, man.
Yeah. Okay.
One of them could have been a dentist. They just what they chose.
Sure.
For them.
Sure. Maybe a dentist helper. Not a dentist. But
okay.
But yeah. So issue 1 was a little, to me, like, felt like it didn't flesh out the idea enough to make it was still interesting, but it wasn't like, it didn't go as far as I wanted. And then 2 and 3 did push that.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's cool. I was worried though, because I was like, oh, I don't want it to be just like, yeah, he's still Superman or whatever. Yeah.
Well, they still like I thought it was weird that Lex was like you said, he was kind of a good guy, even though he still had the evil intentions, because like he was a dick, but he helped the government for pretty much everything. Even I love that he was like, here's his equation. I balanced the budget. And they're like, what? And he's like,
well, you have to plug in the numbers.
He's like, yeah, you gotta figure it out. But, but I'm a genius, so
yeah.
Anyway, and he's dating Lois Lane, so
yeah. So Lex is dating Lois, and they get married.
Yeah.
So like, Superman and her aren't together, but Superman and Wonder Woman have a thing, kind of. Yeah. But it seems like they never get together. It's like Diana really wants to, and he never like notices her.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why they couldn't have them get together, but.
Well, I think they fleshed that out. I think a little bit.
Well, they fleshed out that Superman. Okay, so you in issue 2, you just thought, oh, like he's just done, like dull, or no, he's dense. I mean, like he doesn't see her pining over him or whatever. But then,
I thought that's we'll back up a minute, because Superman he's fighting for Russia, and he helps, and he's been saving people all around Russia for different things. And then he's like talking with Stalin. He's like, oh, I got to go save some people way across the world.
Right.
And they're like, oh, that's weird. I thought you were just going to stay here. He's like, well, I got to help people when people need help.
Right. That's why you think he's the normal Superman, because he's helping everybody all the time. But I think what it was at first, in the first issue, he's like idealistic.
Yeah.
He hasn't seen the evil side of Stalin and all that stuff. Even though I would think he would have if he was in Ukraine, because like Stalin literally like starved all of Ukraine. So I would have thought he would have hit somewhere in there in the 5-year plan of Stalin's, but apparently not.
He's just too busy saving people.
Yeah, he's too busy farming or whatever the fuck it was. So, but yeah, he was still idealistic, which is why he was saving everybody. But then as the series goes on, he's like conquering the rest of the world for communism.
For the greater good.
Right, it's all for the greater good. That's what it all is. So, but then, so while he's doing this, of course, there's going to be an underground movement against him, right? So that is actually led by Batman, who isn't Batman from Gotham.
Yeah, so the normal Batman isn't normal Batman.
Now, when we were talking about this earlier, you had said, "Oh, that was kind of weird," and I agreed with you. Except once I finished it, I was like, "I'm totally fine with how they did Batman in this because it was super badass." Like him and Hal Jordan in this were just like, "Fuck yeah, that's such a cool idea." So what they did with Batman was it wasn't Bruce Wayne. I don't even think it was like a rich people or anything, like his parents, but it's just the leader of the KGB or the head of the KGB has his parents killed for some reason because they're like dissenting or whatever, or they like had different opinions about stuff.
Yeah.
And so then this kid, you're like, oh, that's Bruce Wayne. He like is like, I'm gonna fucking kill Superman. And so I mean, this comic spans what, like 40 years or something, right? It goes from like 1940 to 1980. And so, yeah, like Bruce, when he's older, I don't even know if his name is Bruce in this. They don't even say his name.
No,
they just call him Batman, once he's older. So, but I'll just say Bruce because that's who Batman is in the comics. So when Bruce is older, he's got like, I loved his little costume too, because he's got like, kind of like a 70s military kind of cargo pant, padded legs or like pants and shirt and stuff. And then he's got the little Russia hat,
with his bat ears ticket.
Yeah, he's got the bat ears with the little hat. And I don't know if you saw in the back, because I had like the special edition of it on Comixology, but it had the notes from the guy from the artist, and he was like, "People keep giving me shit about this hat, but I like it." So like he was getting a bunch of feedback that was negative for the hat, but that's actually one of the cool things about the hat, and I think that's actually what made people like it more. And so I'm glad he stuck with that. What was his name again? The artist?
Dave Johnson.
Dave Johnson. So good on you, Dave, for holding fast to your artistic beliefs. But yeah, like so Batman, he like all he cares about is just disrupting, the government, and Superman's, take control of the world. And yeah, like he just comes up with a whole plan to like take on Superman and Wonder Woman. So he ties up Wonder Woman, captures her, like ties her up with the rope, or her lasso of truth. And I didn't know what the mythology behind this was, but so Superman like gets cornered by Batman. And Batman turns on these red lights because he finds out if he puts red light on him, he can fight Superman because he loses his powers.
Well, he does that with Lex Luthor's help, though.
Yes, Lex Luthor helps him, but I'm just kind of skipping ahead a little bit, just because I wanted to say, when we were talking about like why him and Diana, I thought it was like him not seeing her advances, but he actually, like, when Diana's tied up and Superman's like captured, he's like, Diana, you got to break through the lasso and like free me. And Batman's like, don't listen to him. He's fucking using you, because like he doesn't care about you at all. And until that moment, you hadn't seen anything really evil in Batman. But then she breaks free and frees him, and he's just like, see, I don't give a fuck about you. And he like, and then he's gonna kill Batman, but then Batman blows himself up, which was fucking
he had to swallow like a bomb or whatever.
That was awesome.
That was cool.
So Batman's like, fuck you, boom, and then but yeah, then Diana sees he doesn't actually care about her at all, and it was all like just her pining over him, and he's not a good guy. And I was like, oh shit, like the whole time I just thought it was, or the first issue, you just think it's, him not seeing her, and that's why he's like not.
Well, I thought partially because when Superman first goes to America and saves people, like he actually meets Lois, and they have a moment, and they point that out. So I thought, oh, well, maybe it's that I really thought it was like one of those like star-crossed lovers they're meant to be or something.
Right. Well, that was what I was saying in the first issue. It felt like they're saying no matter what, they're going to get together.
Yeah.
but that's not
what happened.
what happens, and it's not what should have happened, I don't think, in this book.
No.
And for sure, like, she did not like him. She's probably thought like, oh, he's hot or whatever. He's like a big, strong, flying Superman. But then, and he was like, oh, she's pretty and hot or whatever. But like, there was no other. They never once saw each other again after that, I don't think.
Yeah.
So there was nothing else to go on from there. And then, and yeah, and like Diana was there, and she's like into him, and they showed, panels of her like kind of trying to get close to him, and Superman wasn't even paying attention.
Yeah, like when they were dancing, and they were like, he was like, they were like float dancing. That was
Yeah,
an interesting panel.
But yeah, like, I didn't realize that's like kind of the first time you see him be like evil, is when he's like fighting Batman, and he says like, "Hey Diana, just like, break your lasso of truth." And it turns out, and this is why I said like I don't know what the mythology of this is I guess if she breaks the lasso, it like drained her of some like power or something. So I don't know what that was. I don't know if there's something in that, like if the lasso breaks, she loses some of her power somehow. But yeah, she does in this, and then it's very apparent that Batman doesn't, or Superman doesn't give a fuck after that.
Yeah,
and then he never did.
Well,
So,
I mean, he technically he takes care of her afterwards, but
yeah, because he's a communist.
Yeah,
she's on the welfare now. So, but yeah, so like through all of this, like when Russia first, we're backing up a little bit in the first issue, when Russia first reveals Batman, they're like, America's like, we need to get, we're doing the superhuman race now, instead of the space race, superhuman race. So they commission Lex Luthor to build a superhuman, and he builds Bizarro,
yeah,
which is like, and it's not even like a Bizarro like you've seen.
No, it's like cave troll Bizarro.
Yeah, it's like, oh my god, he's like a mutant, toxic Avenger, Superman Bizarro, and so that Bizarro fights Superman and loses, and pretty much basically every villain that you've seen in the comics fight Superman. Lex builds them, so like Metallo and the Parasite and all those big Superman villains from the regular comic. It's like in this, basically Lex builds them to fight Superman and loses every time.
Yeah.
And the one time he kind of gets one over on Superman is when Lex teams up with Brainiac, and then Brainiac shrinks Stalingrad instead of like Kandor and turns that into the small shrunken city. And so that's when Superman really gets pissed off.
Yeah.
And that's when like, okay, this is like it's really on. Like, it's not just, we're not playing games anymore. Like, you just killed a bunch of people and stuff.
Yeah. No, at that point, yeah, he's like, I'm tired of seeing the wings. So he's at first, like, Stalin was like, you should probably take over when I die. And he's like, I don't want to do that. Like, I just want to save everybody and everybody, where they need to be. And then around that time when they have the time jump, he's like, actually, I'm going to be president. And
yeah, right. Because that's like, well, how can I control everything if I'm not president? So then he's got to take over. And it's president, I mean, he means of the Soviet Union.
Of the Soviet Union, yes.
Not of America. So, and he got this badass president costume, which is pretty cool. But yeah, and then, so like, what happens next? Like Lex is constantly trying to, win.
Yeah, Lex is always trying to build something, and in the meantime, like Superman through his dictatorship, like eliminates like poverty, disease, and ignorance from everything in the Warsaw Pact, and
right. But that ends up being all of the world except America and Chile. So I guess Chile, for some reasons, like, yeah, I'm down with capitalism.
I guess I was funny because it's a small detail, but they had all these different Superman statues, and there's a crypto statue too. I saw. I guess that he hit his dog, but
Russians don't have dogs.
Yeah, but the fact that they had crypto still. Anyway, but and like someone comes in the room to tell Superman something, and he's like working on his own statue of
Oh, yeah.
himself.
Well, that makes sense because he's putting all these statues up for himself.
Yeah.
For and all.
So that kind of that gives you.
I didn't even put that together. I just thought, oh, he's an artist, I guess. But yeah, he's making his own statues
of himself.
He's like, you will put this in your front lawn because I made it and I'm awesome. So, yeah. So that's a good pull. I didn't even notice that, but yeah. And then the other thing I really liked is, so like, it turns out Lex Luthor, he becomes president eventually, of America, and like at this time, like America's like doing horribly, like it's starving, and as you can imagine, there's no world trade. They had to isolate themselves from everybody, so like they're trying, and Lex becomes president. They elect him because he's like, I can bring you out of this, and he does. He actually, like, without killing millions of people and stuff, he actually is a good president apparently, and he brings them out of stuff, but he's only doing it to get back to get Superman.
Yeah, we find out as it goes, but I mean, this is just a long plan eventually to get Superman.
Yeah, it's like 45-year plan to get Superman. It's like he keeps playing chess throughout this, like multi games of chess, like tens of hundreds of games at once of chess, and
like literally playing chess.
Yeah.
In the comic, whereas the whole comic is him playing a chess game to get Superman eventually to it, like metaphorically. So.
Right. And so finally, like he sees or finds out once he's president that there was like an alien crash in 1947 or whatever, and
like
that
Roswell.
Yeah, and he was like, okay, it's Roswell, and there was actually an alien, and it had a thing on its finger that's a weapon, we think, and it is fucking Abin Sur, Green Lantern. I was like, hell yeah. I didn't remember that Hal Jordan was in this, and I'm super pumped. And Hal Jordan is in this, and he is a POW. And the reason why they know he has the willpower to wield the ring, because he was a POW who got beat and starved and all this stuff for, 5 years, and didn't break. And so they know he's got willpower. So he is a broken man who's not broken. I mean, like, he's got all this PTSD and all this hate and anger, and he's just ready to kill something with that ring.
Yeah. Does Lex create the other rings, or does he create the ring?
I think they figured out how to create them from just having the lantern and the original ring, because none of the other people are aliens.
Yeah.
So I think they just make
their own. Core, basically.
And
we should say at this time we move forward a little bit in time, and JFK is the president.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because Lex isn't president until JFK dies, right? Or is he after? I got confused on the timeline.
Yeah, I'm trying.
I guess JFK is president now, and I think after that
is Lex.
Then Lex becomes president. But yeah, he finds out about it because he becomes like in the inner circle, and they need him to build the weapons of the Green Lantern stuff. So that's why they let him in. And so all the stuff about Lex saving America is after JFK was president. And they have, so the Green Lantern Corps tries to fight Superman, and it does not go well for the Green Lantern Corps.
No, and we should say at this time, so it's moved forward. Lex president, and he's creating this Green Lantern fight. He's gonna have Green Lantern create the Corps, and then they're gonna go and fight Superman.
Yes. And also we should say before this that when Brainiac shrunk the Stalingrad like 20 years earlier, Superman went after him, grabbed his like brain out of his ship, like the head of Brainiac or whatever, like the CPU, and then kept it. And then so he thinks that he's subordinated or like reprogrammed Brainiac for him to work for him, but he's actually like Brainiac is just playing Superman. Like he's pretending to be on Superman's side, but he's actually manipulating everything to fight or to like take over the world. And Superman doesn't realize that. And so, yeah. So part of the fighting and all this is now Brainiac's been like corrupting Superman, which is also, I think, why he's getting more evil in the way that he's got to like take over the world and stuff, you know?
Yeah, he's like, you have to do this, sir, if you're going to, have your utopia.
Yeah, he's like, how can you, how could you let people starve? We can't let people starve, so we have to take over the food and, like, so yeah.
I liked Superman's like gray stripe around his head.
Oh yeah,
His like distinguished stripe
right.
of hair.
It's the presidency, It takes it out of everybody.
Takes a toll on you.
Even Superman. So yeah, the Green Lanterns fight him. It doesn't go well. But Lex Luthor knew that. Like, I think, Lex Luthor knew none of these people were going to win.
Lex Luthor has like a 3-part plan to stop Superman. This is like the end of his chess game. He
has the whole Green Lantern Corps that he created with Hal Jordan with a real ring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he found them in he found the Phantom Zone too.
Yes,
that was cool.
Yes, he found the Phantom Zone. I don't know, what did that have to do with. Oh, that's how he had secret meetings, because then Superman couldn't hear him. Because Superman can hear everybody on Earth talking, and I'm sure he knows Lex Luthor's voice. So there was nowhere Lex could go where he couldn't hear, except he found out how to get into the Phantom Zone so that Superman can't hear him. So he made this whole plan in there. So he has the Green Lantern's going to fight him. Then he also gets Diana after she's been screwed over by Superman, and she can see how evil he is now. She joins to fight as well. Mm-hmm. And then there's a note.
Yeah, that's because his ultimate goal is to have Superman attack America now,
right,
and take over America, because it's like the last frontier that
right, and he's made America prosperous again,
yeah,
on his own, like as an isolationist country. We're doing great now. Everybody's good, and so it's actually like a sore, like if communism's so great, then how come America can still be good on its own? So like he needs to come take it over now. And so what he did, so he has Hal Jordan and Diana attack him, and that like kind of pushes him over the edge. So Superman comes to attack America.
But before that, actually, because Lex Luthor infiltrates where Superman is, and it's like it kind of starts to tell him about the plan.
Oh yeah.
And then Brainiac like grabs Lex Luthor as he's like going into his evil villain spiel, and Brainiac's like he takes him and starts to looks like I guess lobotomize him or whatever.
Yeah.
And
they didn't even they just show him like grab him and bring him into inside.
And then Superman's like, oh, why did you stop him? He's like, if you would let him keep talking, he would have like convinced you to kill yourself in like 14 minutes.
Yeah. So Brainiac's like, oh, don't worry about him. And what he actually did was he let Lex Luthor, this genius, inside of Brainiac. So that's actually, he ends up taking down Brainiac. When Brainiac reveals, I've actually been in control of you, Superman, you idiot,
but that's the third part of the plan. So he catches Lex Luthor, and then he's like, we still should attack America because America's going, like, the Green Lanterns have come, we stopped them, but like they're still there's still a power out there, so we need to take them.
They'll never stop.
Yeah, so go over there, and so Superman goes to attack or to take over, and he lands there, and Lois is like, stop, this is the third part of it. There's a letter in my pocket. He's like, what could a letter do to stop me? And so she hands the letter to Superman, and
did you write down what it said?
I did.
Okay, so we get it. John reads Lex Luthor's letter to Superman, and keep in mind, Superman was very much affected by Stalingrad being shrunk down into the little city in a bottle. So when it happened, he was very much affected, so much that it made him get corrupted, to what he was now. So what does he read?
I was
you're looking it up?
Yeah,
okay.
I was trying to find it.
He will find it soon. But yeah, it turns out that the main crux of his plan is to have Superman read this letter and get affected by it, and then
okay, it's the sword is mightier than a pen, paper, which says, why don't you put the world in a bottle?
Right. Yeah, and it said, wait, read it again. Is that all of it, or is that?
Yeah, it was just like, it was like 2 or 3 lines, but it was basically like, why don't you, you've
basically made the world your own place in a bottle.
So why don't you put the world in a bottle?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, he's like, I've done what Brainiac did to Earth because I made it. It's a utopia, but no one's free. Everybody can't live the way they want or do what they want.
Yeah.
But
I'm not from here. I should, why have I been meddling basically
Yeah.
in their normal affairs this whole time?
right. So what's the point of having what you need if you can't, do what you want? So
So then he tells Brainiac like, "No, that we're done. We're not going to do this anymore." And Brainiac's like, "Are you sure we should do this?" And he's like, "No, we're not." So then Brainiac's, well, guess what?
yeah,
I've been in control this whole time.
joke's on you. I've been controlling you. And then you find out that Lex Luthor is actually inside of Brainiac and like unplugs him, right?
Yes.
So he's like, "What an idiot, letting me inside your brain." And then like he unplugs him. And then what happens to Superman?
So Brainiac starts to self-destruct at that point.
Right.
So there's not really much
That's
time
right.
for anything.
Yeah. Once they turn him off, it's like beep.
Yeah, 60 seconds.
Beep. Yeah, it's like Predator or whatever.
Yeah. And apparently there are black holes in like Brainiac's ship.
That's how he powers it.
Powers everything. So Superman's like, oh, okay, well, we need to get this the hell away. And so Superman's like, I'll get this out of here. Take care of Lex. I'll get this and save everybody. And Lex like, I don't know if you're gonna make that. And he's like, I'll make it. And so Lex is like, okay, well, that was the plan all along. Checkmate, Superman. See ya.
Yeah.
Like he literally tells him that.
Yeah. Yeah, he says like, I started this plan 45 years ago or whatever. So, yeah. So Superman takes off with the ship, and then it blows up far, far away, and doesn't affect Earth at all. And then you think Superman's dead, and then what do we find out?
Yeah, so, I mean, Superman looks like he dies in an explosion out there. And so Lex Luthor and his running mate, Jimmy Olsen, I just thought we'd point that out. We didn't really talk about him, but Jimmy
Olsen, for some reason, wasn't like a snot-nosed kid reporter. He was like, or picture
He's like
guy.
a CIA agent.
Yeah, he's like a CIA agent.
And then he
like
became like the head of the CIA or FBI.
Yeah,
and then,
whatever it is.
Yeah. And
he's
so,
a spook.
Yeah. I thought it was funny. They win the White House again. They get reelected in 2004 with 101% of the vote.
Yeah,
that was so he falls. Batman reemerges. Lex Luthor,
but it's not the Batman. It's just it's just another person calling themselves Batman. Yeah. I think it's the Batman. It says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lex Luthor obviously keeps everything going. But Lex Luthor's like, you know what? We need to change the way we govern. Now that he doesn't have to worry about Superman, he's like, actually, let me use my brain and figure this out. And so he creates a one world government with artists, writers, philosophers, and scientists. I like the panel. They had like a beatnik and
yeah. And then but don't they show Clark Kent?
Oh yeah, but you're getting.
Oh, is that ahead of it?
Yeah, you skipped ahead.
Oh, okay.
It's that was the cool thing. So they show all these different things, like the world going ahead, and then like Lex Luthor's lived a really long time, and he's like in a cryo chamber, and he's dying, and he's like, defeating the Superman was my greatest accomplishment, and he dies, and then at the funeral.
Oh yeah, then there's
that. Yeah, then it's when you see Clark
Kent.
So
actually, okay, so then you see Clark Kent, so you're like, oh, Superman didn't die. He just came back and was like, I'm just going to go back to living like a regular life in this new world. And then he got to see that humans can live without someone as a dictator over them, even though it sounds like Lex Luthor had some kind of oligarchy, but, whatever. These people were more free than they were under Superman. So, but then I wish it had stopped here.
Yeah.
Because if it had stopped here, it would have been like, and complete, But what they did, and this was weird to me, is they did like a, and they did like a Bible, like
super jump,
they did like a Lex Luthor begot Cal Luthor begot John L. Goes all the way, hundreds of years later, until there's a dude named Jor-El, who, if you know anything, is the name of Superman's dad, and he's like
the grandkid of Lex Luthor times 50.
Yeah.
And the sun has gone red.
Right, because of time. It's been time on Earth, and so our sun has turned red. So it turns out we're Kryptonians.
Yeah, and our Earth's gonna explode. The sun's gonna explode now, and they're not listening to Jor-El.
Yeah.
We need to listen to him, and they're not listening.
But they're not. So he's gonna send his son Kal-El,
Kal-El,
to some other place. They don't say Earth or whatever, but they just say, some other place. So I thought that was weird. I'm like, so wait, this all happened on but it's still like, why would it be like America? And you know what I mean? Like,
I guess, yeah, it was. I guess that I couldn't tell. It was like, so. Oh, was it Krypton?
that just seemed like a really like a old school Twilight Zone twist. Where like, yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Like, like we're just gonna make you think weird stuff. You know, it's crazy. Yeah, because they had like a perfectly fine ending with just Clark Kent being there, or Superman being there as Clark Kent and being like, yeah, I was wrong. People are good and can flourish without dictators. But then they did this whole like, you know, biblical, you know, hereditary line or whatever of all of Lex Luthor's
all the
people,
Luthors, yeah.
until you get to Jor-El. So yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of wraps it up like it's cyclical or something. But it's weird that it was on Krypton, which is old Earth, or a place. They don't say Earth, but just a place that has an America. And
it could be like
Soviet Union,
like string or like multiple.
I mean, I think that's what Elseworlds was
yeah.
originally supposed to be. Like these are all parallel universes or whatever. So, but
maybe that makes them come to ours.
Yeah, but that's the only thing I was like, I wish I just ended with, you know, that. But so that's pretty much the whole story. I mean,
yeah,
it was good once you get into it. I was a little disappointed in the first issue, but then once I look at it as a whole, I'm like, oh no, the first issue is fine. Once it was just setting up like how he's gonna change, you know, how he's gonna not be the same person, and everybody's not gonna be the same people, kind of thing. So, what would you give this one?
I liked it. I would probably say this was a 7.
Okay, I was gonna say 7 as well.
Yeah,
At first,
it's a good reread.
If we were going off the first issue, I was like, oh, I'll just do like a 6, maybe a 5.5. But then it got way better. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a 7. It's good.
No, it was solid. I would like if you have a base understanding of the Superman mythology, you should totally read this one.
Yeah, it was definitely good, and I recommend it for anyone who likes thinking about what ifs, you know, and what if Superman was this or that, or you know, what if Batman wasn't a rich guy but he was just a, you know, freedom fighter.
I like this because I've read a lot of the Marvel what ifs, so this is the first DC what if I've read. And
really, we should read some more Elseworlds because there's some cool ones that are like way weirder than some of the Marvel ones. Like, yeah, I mean the Marvel ones are weird.
There's Werewolf Captain America.
That's not a what if.
That's not a what if.
No,
that's nuts.
That's Capwolf. That's
just Capwolf.
Captain America canon.
Oh, wow. Okay, well,
that's just a bad couple of years for Captain America.
That was in the 90s, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Okay, there you go.
But no, there is a what if Conan was like in the 70s, so he like teleports from Conan's world to, you know, 70s Brooklyn or whatever, and he's got like his sword and stuff. But the cover of it is one of my favorite covers. It's Conan with his helmet and everything, with a dirty, hairy, you know, 357 Magnum, just pointing down the barrel. Like it's amazing. It's one of my favorite covers of all time. You could never do it nowadays. You can have a gun like that, like on the front of the cover or whatever. Yeah. So, but it's fantastic. So, yeah. So this is kind of like along those lines, which is fun. They get to explore different territory, which is always good. But yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, I liked it. It was good. I really gotta say one more time that I really enjoyed the art. The coloring was cool. Like they had deep reds for, you know, they're in communist Russia, and then kind of light blues in America, and then until the economy went down, it was like yellow Dust Bowl kind of colors. It was really pretty.
Yeah, everything was good. I mean, the costuming was good on everybody. I mean, I love the Batman costume. I love the Hal Jordan costume. I mean, the character.
Yeah, I would love to see some cosplay of the
I'm sure someone who's done that cosplay.
Costumes.
Yeah,
those are cool.
But yeah, so I think that's it.
Yeah, it was a good episode.
Awesome. See you later.
All right, take care.
Bye. Well, folks, hope you enjoyed that episode.
If you did and you'd like to follow us on social media, our Facebook is Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, and our Instagram is @Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, all one word.
And be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more recommendations to add to your weekly pull list.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.